Hi, folks. Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Pardon my late arrival. Had some family matters come up that required my immediate attention. Again, I apologize. The Historical Fencing Guild today our broadcast is brought to you by the good folks over at the Independent Creator Directory, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, artists, musicians, and other creatives. It's a great place to be hosted. I am not just a member, a spokesman, but I'm also a member. We're also made possible by the Simple Sword, which I have right here. The Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear, all part of my ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from having never handled the sword to teaching the art to others. Thank you for your time. Most of all, we are made possible by my patrons. They're a small elite group of people whose infinite kindness and support of the arts, including the martial arts, allow me to provide free training to people, get my books out, keep these channels going. Without them, I simply couldn't do what I do. I would not be able to financially afford the trainers or the other gear. So thank you. I do have stuff to talk about today, but before I do, I have something I would like to mention, and it didn't get uploaded into here, so I'll have to fix that as I talk, which is fine. But as you know, I am, amongst other things, a game designer, and I will be running a independent gaming convention in Fowler, Indiana, in a little more than a month, called StompCon. StompCon is free to the public. It is a free to public indie tabletop gaming convention, September 7th, 2024, 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. at the Benton County Co-op Extension at 410 South Aid Way, Fowler, Indiana, 47944. And while it will be focused on tactics gaming and RPGs, and primarily the games I've created being Big Stompy Robots in several versions, Melee, and some of my RPG work that I will be talking about, hopefully having more, including some perhaps early reveals of that. I will have all my books there, and it's a great place to talk about weapons and tactics and training as we do, because it is necessary to do that. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm a little scattered. I did have several incidents, and as you can see, I'm back in the brace. It should be mellowed back out in a few days, but due to an incident, my arm bone's dislocated again, turned my right hand off, tried to swell up my elbow. It will be fine. It's just my natural part of being unnatural. So I am in a good amount of pain, and that does slightly distract me. So I am sorry about that and anything else that this causes. But beyond that, we have a lot going on. Let me get that link down. Sorry. And put this back going. But I want to thank Off in the Woods, Ronald Rain, Bladed Thesis, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Kep, and Steve Augusto. You guys are the real heroes who help me keep things going. I also want to thank folks like Silver Ogre and a few others who formerly subscribed as patrons and were able to help me during different points. Even though you can't right now, I truly appreciate what you did for me. All right? Now, I'm going to cruise the comments real quickly, and then we're going to get into some things. So, first through the door here, I'm sorry, let me get my knife out. I had to put it away, is Alex Creations. Good evening, Alec. So I disappeared this morning, had fell asleep, was exhausted. I fully understand that. We all need sleep. then you needed that sleep. Yeah, you needed it. No need to apologize. And hello, Foxy and Thesis, and Kitty as well. And yeah, StompCon's going to be great. I was wondering if you are all right. You sound a little upset, and I'll get into that. I was not. I was going to ask about the brace. Nick, don't apologize for that. Oh, rest up, my brother. And pain is not your friend. Rest yourself. Yes, you need to rest. Alrighty. So I am. My primary task is taking care of my son, and some days it's harder than other days. I'm going to let that go at that. Details aren't needed to be in the public, but it did make for a bit of a challenge. And from this, it did give me some inspiration in something we need to discuss. And what we need to discuss at this point is how do we deal with the emotions we might feel when we are sparring, when we are on the battlefield, when it is happening? Either. Okay, sorry. Either in a sparring situation, which I would hope would be where you're having your physical altercations, or the much less genial but very important when you're in a actual physical situation. It is important to contain and understand your emotions, because if you are fighting your emotions, that is another opponent. So, as a rule, I do not let my students fight angry. I don't let them if they're furious. That's what a pel is for. That's what a disposable stick or something striking the pel is for. That's not what your partners are for. So the base level of working with your emotions as a Western martial artist is understanding what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how you're feeling. Because one thing you have to understand, especially anger, on average, according to assorted tests, being angry drops your IQ about 20 points. That's not farcical. I can't cite them. This is something I picked up in my assorted psychology studies back at Purdue, North Central, before it became P&W. But it is a necessity to feel it, realize it's there, realize it's made you dumber, which means you have to be more in control. And whatever's happening, even if you're tangled up, I mean, you're in the nastiest scrum, you're wrestling or you're whatever. It has to be understood. Now, Thesis is making a good point, and pardon me if my clicks aren't as fast. It's been a while since I've had to operate my mouse with a brace on. Anger is a crutch, doesn't empower you. It dulls your senses till all you can feel is rage. That's if you succumb to it. If you give yourself over to anger, that's what you get. And that's why I have sticks in the backyard of the pool. Yes, and we're gonna work on that situation too, Alec. Might be a bit, but I am working on it. Anger can have a purpose, though, and a necessary purpose. especially for people like myself. I am an exceptionally tolerant and forgiving person. At times, literally to a fault. I have allowed myself to endure mistreatment from people I cared about, people I didn't care about, from situations, because I was trained to do that. It was, just something that one learns. And I can't, sometimes to get to the place where you have to do what you have to do, you have to feel that spark of anger. Feel it come on. But the trick is you're not letting it control you, and you're not tamping it down. It comes, you feel it rise up, and you may rise up with it, and then you let it go as you're processing, is it appropriate? You can't suppress the emotions. Hashtag fueled by spite. Yeah. There's a difference between righteous anger and blind rage. Now, hopefully, man, Frog G, I hope you're doing well. Hopefully you are out here doing what you love, and you aren't going to, you should not, nothing that's happening while you are sparring with your friends, while you are learning this, should make you that angry. So I recommend, for the safety of others, you call a hold. I am sorry. I am angry right now. I am stopping the fight. If I have to forfeit the tourney, whatever, that's fine. I am leaving the field for everyone's safety. And if they can't process that, they're not respecting your boundaries. There should be no shame in that. Just like there's no shame in saying, I'm too goofy, I got to straighten my head out. I'm having too much fun, and I'm not thinking smart. Just give me a second. Or I am too sad, and my mind isn't on the fight. You need to be aware of your body and your mind, which means you need to feel things and feel what it feels like to feel things. That's why Alex Pohl, the idea of a Pell, is so good, because you can express that anger safely. And while you're doing it, you're getting the practice feeling what it means to be that angry. Because one thing that happens, under no circumstances should your emotional state affect your calibration. So if you are fighting in a sparring match, even in a real bat fight, your emotions should not dictate your calibration. A bout should be a test of skill to develop the discipline and stamina but it's not a tourney. A tourney is, you're giving your absolute best. That's what you're there for. You're not there to learn new skills, although you will. You're not there, I don't want to say not there to have fun, but not there to goof off. You're there to see just how good you can do, because that's the only opponent that matters. Are you doing better than you? And find your weaknesses so that you can address them later. That's what a tourney's for. Glory doesn't matter. Awards don't matter. Knowledge, wisdom, and experience matter. But you learn to control and focus your anger. And this is the side that I work with when I'm oftentimes working with veterans, when I'm working with people who've endured and responded to intense, prolonged physical traumas. What they have to learn is what this is, how to feel it safely without judgment. My job isn't to judge you because you're angry, but how to grow emotional calibration. And that skill set is never easy. It's never easy. But it's worth it. The other side that has to be discussed for manifesting in a combative situation is fear. Fear paralyzes. In some ways, it makes panic. Alec, I did catch the other comments, but I want to address this. The fact that it is pent up is a big part of the problem. You need to learn to express it safely and vent it. Understand what it feels like and what it is doing to you. Because it will eat at you. And if you allow it, it will turn you into a very different person. I know intimately what it's like to be almost, I know what it's like to be consumed. I know what it's like to let it take over. I'm not proud of that. And I have seen the aftermath. And anyone who's proud of flying into a red rage and doing harm to threats is not someone you want to encounter. What you want to do when you are growing as a person is you want to understand. Winning, losing, ups, downs, that's not what is important. Gaining understanding of yourself and the world around you is. If you have pent-up anger, you have to bleed it out somehow. You need a process of catharsis, or else it will come to a head, kind of like a large pimple, and then it will blow all over and make a big mess. Likewise, you get back to fear. Those of us who have suffered repeat long-based trauma and pain and disability from it, and the nightmares and such. Fear can paralyze us. It can take away our ability to breathe. We have to understand that exists too. And both can kill you, both metaphorically in tourney or on the field or in real life. You can't let your emotions, you can't let your anger, you can't let your fear, your sorrow, even when you're grieving, you can't let them fully consume you. Because whenever one emotion consumes you, it's consuming you. eats you up for its own existence. Even joy can do that. That's a hard one. That's one I've had a lot of difficulty. I've got the one, I'm having too much fun. I got to pull it down because it starts to affect your control. And that's where we get to these situations where you can't function. And what gets really troubling, my friends, is when these powerful emotions hit you at the same time. Now, people who know me, and there have been some great comments that I've seen come up. Thesis says a great thing about letting emotions, etc., pass. But I'm not ignoring you guys. I have to keep the thoughts straight in my head because this is important. It's a little off topic from where we usually go, but it is vitally important. You have to practice. And the only way to hello, Don, the only way to work through anger and fear and pain is to, in the times you are experiencing them in a safe environment, learn to breathe. Everything comes from breathing. And I have several conditions that conspire against me. I have forms of apnea, and not just sleep apnea. I literally, hilariously to some, forget to breathe. Certain of my autonomic functions aren't as autonomic as they should be, which is why I've had to learn and to think about it. And with your breath, you control your hormones, you control your blood pressure, you control your heart rate. This is why I teach, preferably, alongside sword fighting, I want you to learn some type of marksmanship. And I don't care if it's Nerf guns, air rifles, actual firearms, any of the gambit of archery, thrown weapons. You want to learn something in the family of marksmanship. Because if you are angry when you are doing thrown weapons, it will mess up. If you are angry when you are trying to shoot something with anything, and I mean in a target sense, we're not talking weaponry. We're talking weaponry, but not harm. You will miss. But if you control your breathing, you allow your focus to narrow down to the only thing that matters is taking the shot. Nothing else matters. No sound, no sight, nothing. Everything is irrelevant but taking the shot. And you just learn. Your mind will clear. And what happens is when you train marksmanship and fencing, by my definition, Western martial arts, swordplay, you will find the accuracy and precision of marksmanship will control the emotion of the rage that can be behind your sword. And the incredible spark, that confidence that comes with just a little bit of anger, just that little, okay, that impetus to act eventually moves over to your marksmanship. And when you get to where you trust yourself, you begin to do what's called instinctive shooting, where you've aimed so much, you don't need to line up the shot. You don't need the tight, precise aiming. Your body just does it. The same way when you fence. I mean, you got to realize, if I'm sword fighting and I am fencing in the classical sense, rapier to rapier, the openings that I may generate may only be this big or smaller, that I can get in and hit my target. Do you know what, ironically, the fastest thing at the Olympics is that is not, a gunshot? Do you know what it is? The tip of a foil. Those foils are going so fast. They outpace everything else. Do you realize the level of focus and perception it takes to not only generate that level of speed, but control it precisely? You think they're not scared? You think they're not nervous, getting out there in front of thousands of people, millions watching, to fight somebody who has at the least spent as much of their life focused on this art as you have? Yeah, instinctive archery is fun. Once you learn it, you get to be something else. I'll tell you a story. My dad was teaching my brothers how to shoot. Started with air rifles. And this was many, many years ago. My brothers are grown men. I'm very proud of them both. But he was saying, and the same thing I've said, the target's all that matters. Nothing else matters. The distractions don't matter. You have all the time in the world. And he's saying this the same way he talked to me when we're standing outside, and we had this problem with coyotes, with dogs, wild dogs, coyotes. They kind of intermixed. And they would cause problems. So this was, again, years and years ago, but the trail that ran around my parents' house that we carved, right around the perimeter, so we could walk the whole perimeter, keep an eye on everything. You do things like this, and ride motorcycles and things like that. But as he's talking, he's got the rifle, and he's talking. Take all the time in the world. Nothing else matters. All that matters is the shot. Nothing else. And he looks up, and there's this freaking coyote running heck bent for leather down the trail. And you can see it through the trees at, maybe 60 yards, 50, 60 yards. Easy, paced out. Old man's talking. He's got their rifle. All the time in the world. And he looks up, and I see his right eye click for a second while he's scanning. Yeah. Right hand. No, it had to be his left eye, because I think he's right eye dominant anyway. But he's talking. And he goes, damn dogs. And, he just goes, pop, mid-sentence. And there's about a 2 beat, boom, boom, before you hear the yelp. So this coyote is running at full speed to do something on our property. And he didn't want to kill them, but he didn't want to distract them, run them off. He didn't like killing things. He doesn't. I mean, my father's still with us, thank God, but through dense foliage, with his back mostly turned, he glanced at it, was talking to us, brought up, squeezed the shot. I don't know how he even saw it from where it was, which means he tracked the motion, the sound, took the shot, bam. What does that have to do with sword fighting? When you've learned a martial art, and I believe marksmanship is absolutely a martial art, and it needs to be respected as such. All of them. It's one of those the Japanese get right. They treat archery like a martial art. They don't treat it like it's separate. The Mongols get it right too, but there is an aspect of no thought. And no thought comes when your body knows what the mind will want it to do. Oh yeah, situational awareness, that's a constant. But no thought is your body and mind acting in sync without conscious effort. When you've been fighting long enough, your body will just do what it's supposed to do. It's amazing when it moves. Hi, Dave. Houston, Texas, Dave, for that all. But to get there and to be safe there, you have to have instilled the motions, the precision, the accuracy, the breathing, the control, the calibration. And you have to have instilled it in such a way that it functions completely regardless of your emotional state. It's like it's an entirely different neural network. And the only way to do that is by understanding. So if you're hitting the pel to vent off anger, hi Cindy, great to have you. You're hitting the pel to vent off anger. You're going to build up to a kind of a peak. So this is good for you to keep track of. Ow. Alec. And then it starts to coast down. In that coast down range, to an extent, and the buildup, you have a chance to understand what you're feeling and how it's making your body work, what it's doing to your body, what it's doing to what you're doing. This is a lot of metacognition. This is thinking about thinking. This is a deep road, folks. We aren't playing around right now with the kind of concepts that I normally talk about, stances and guards and weapons. We are talking about the fine-tuning of the human body to achieve certain outcomes. This skill set and this approach transcends martial arts. It covers all the arts. A truly talented musician can play anything in the right notes, the right tempo, the right tone, totally regardless of how they themselves are feeling. This is important. Learning that kind of control takes discipline and mental clarity. It takes time, but it can be done. And whatever venue you learn it from, that can carry over to the others. Learning how to control your body when you are scared and angry will make you a better driver. Learning how to deal with these emotions while the stimulus of driving in a dangerous situation, it will make you better than you would be without it. You still need to acquire the basic skills. You still need to know your vehicle and have all the tools in place. Don't get me wrong, but it will take you to that next level. The best in the world. Yep. Train the mind. Yep. Train the mind, train the body, resting. Yes. The only way to get that is to just put in the time. I would love to tell you there is a secret Zen spell ritual that will do that. Yeah. You know what? Technically, there is. You want the secret? I'll give you the secret, friends. You have to stay in your mind, in your moment, and you have to put in the hours. Discipline comes from the repeated action in a unpleasant situation. It comes from being able to do what you have to do regardless of what else is going on. It becomes a lifestyle. I am not as disciplined as I once was. I lost a lot during some of my injuries. So I am having to rebuild and revisit these lessons in my life. See this. I don't want it to be like this. And part of that discipline is the importance of maintaining rest. The part of the discipline is knowing when it's time to get up from the rest. Forcing yourself to hydrate when you don't want to eat when you need to. Now, it's also about paying attention to your body. And as you can hear, unfortunately, my voice is starting to go out. So I will be careful with this, but I may not be able to go for the whole show I normally do. That's because my voice has been trained as a tool, and it has been a long time, actually, since I've had to implement it as such. So I can blow my voice out fairly easily these days. It requires paying attention to your body and being honest. Thank you. With yourself, with your capabilities, and with what you yourself require. Situational awareness is not just external. So please, when you're dealing with your emotions, when you're dealing with your situation, breathe through it and listen to your body. Listen to your heart, listen to your mind, listen to what's coming on. But there comes a point where you have to pause, you have to stop, you have to realize that, yes, this is unpleasant. Yes, this is potentially damaging. But the situation requires me to maintain the actions my word has issued. That's why I didn't simply skip this video today. That's why I didn't simply say, I'm sorry, guys, I've had a rough day. I have to call it off. Because the discipline of doing this, when it's easy, when it's hard, when I'm busy, when I have time, setting down at the same time and trying to at least, usually I try to go for an hour if I mechanically can. I don't think I can right now, so I will probably be cutting it off fairly shortly. But that comes from paying attention to yourself, to your situation, to your body, to your mind, thinking about how you think about things, how you respond with your feelings. Because you feel your feelings, you should not let them feel you. And with that, guys, I'm going to be smart here. I'm going to say thank you for your time and for giving me the leniency to plan to shorten this broadcast due to my overall condition. Thank you for your support, especially my Patreon folks. I couldn't do this without you. And thank you for the work you're putting in on yourself. Because everything you do, every time you're practicing and drilling, you're making yourself a better version. And that affects the world around you. I know there's a lot of darkness going on. I know a lot of people are scared. I know there's a lot going on. But understand this. That which you cannot change, you can't. But what you have dominion over, you can. And if you can control your emotions, you can control your thoughts, you can control your body, you are far more powerful than these spittle-lading pontifexes, these people who just bellow out orders and send men to their deaths. No, you have far more strength than that. No king nor cult leader can ever have the strength of a man, a woman, or in between, who has learned control of themselves. So, guys, I'm going to ask you, as I often do, keep your eyes open, do your drills, be kind to yourself and each other, and as always, friends, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I will be back with more shenanigans next week. I think I fixed the glitch on my phone where it was constantly trying to upload the videos, but because it couldn't connect right, it wouldn't upload, but it wouldn't break the connection to make a new one. So it's been in a feedback loop since the day after the Shakespeare Company that we opened up for, which explains my battery loss problems. But, sorry. I hope to have those videos in format where I can make them downloadable for my Patreon folks so that they can take them home, play with them. I don't care. And better versions for you, because Joey was kind enough to run them silently. Some of you want to hear the shtick, so I will try to make it where you can. But I also told myself, if I have to, I'll cut the show just about 40 at the 45-minute mark. And it's funny because despite that was out still, okay? Sorry. That was live putting a bone back into socket. Despite the situation and the limitations, guys. I believe in being a person of my word whenever possible. So I need you to know that I love you, and you should too. I'll be back Monday for the first episode of the week for the never mind the furthermore, and I will be back here Friday for the next episode of the Historical Fencing Guild, unless I can pull together something else amusing. And sorry, I have to tighten this down now because it's in place. With that, guys, have a lovely night. Toodles, folks.